It's been going on for centuries. The founding of the United States began with the American Revolutionary War, and there have been conflicts almost continuously ever since. If we go to Wikipedia, we can see that the total number of United States military deaths from the many major wars, American Civil War, World War I, World War II, and so forth, as well as other relatively minor conflicts. We can see that over 245 years of war, the total number of American military dead for all these wars and battles totals just over 1.35 million, with many monuments built honoring those people that died in those conflicts. But there's an invisible war that's been going on for many years. It's not a military war, but a huge number of dead have piled up. It's not the drug war. It's not the war against cancer or heart disease. It's the silent war fought by a very few that is hardly noticed. It's the war against medical errors. Of course, doctors, nurses, and other medical professionals save people every day. Emergency rooms provide care for injuries, including falls, motor vehicle accidents, and gunshot wounds. But there is a darker side to our modern medical system that rarely gets any attention. Injuries and deaths from the very system that is supposed to help them, to make and keep them healthy. Just over 20 years ago, an article published in 2000 in the Journal of the American Medical Association showed that people are dying from the medical system. 12,000 from unnecessary surgeries, 7,000 from medication errors, 20,000 other hospital errors, 80,000 from hospital-acquired infections, and 106,000 from properly used medications. A total of 225,000 people died from a system that was supposed to help them. This shocking report showed that modern medicine is the third leading cause of death in the United States.
In medicine, the first large focus on medical error reduction began in 1999, when the Institute of Medicine released its report, To Err is Human, which highlighted how medical errors harmed a huge number of patients. In an independent follow-up report in 2013, it showed no real progress had been made on medical error reduction. And it estimated that 200,000 Americans die each year. 200,000 Americans die each year due to medical errors. It's our third leading cause of death in this nation. It follows heart disease and cancer.
In 2010, the Department of Health and Human Services report showed that 15,000 hospitalized Medicare patients a month died from medical errors. That's 180,000 people every year. In addition, serious harm occurred in 13% of Medicare patients. That could result in prolonged hospital stay, permanent injury, requiring life-sustaining intervention, and death. The number of these severe harms was approximately 130,000 per month, or over 1.5 million per year. In 2013, a study in the Journal of Patient Safety estimated between 210,000 and 440,000 deaths a year could be attributed to medical error in hospitals.
According to a 2013 article published in the Journal of Patient Safety, Dr. John T. James reports that patient adverse events, his politically correct term for hospital medical mistakes, contribute to the death of approximately 440,000 patients in America each year. That's roughly 1/6 of the 2.5 million total deaths that occur in the United States each year. 37% of Americans die outside of hospitals. So in fact, hospital medical errors contribute to the death of roughly 1/4 of all patients who die in U.S. hospitals.
In addition, the study notes that serious non-lethal harms could be 10 to 20 times higher than this number, a range of 2.1 million to 8.8 million serious patient harms each and every year. A 2013 paper in the Journal of Law, Medicine, and Ethics showed that 2.7 million hospitalized Americans each year have experienced a serious adverse drug reaction, or ADR. That results in 128,000 hospitalized patients dying annually, matching stroke as the fourth leading cause of death. Amazingly, the FDA came to a similar conclusion. Americans experienced 2.1 million serious injuries, including 128,000 patient deaths. And about 30 adverse drug reactions occur for every one that leads to hospitalization, meaning about 81 million side effects are currently experienced every year by the 170 million Americans who use pharmaceuticals. In 2016, a study by Johns Hopkins published in the British Medical Journal showed much the same.
For the better part of 2 decades, there's been a growing recognition that medical errors kill too many patients in the U.S. While exact numbers are elusive, a new analysis and estimate portrays an even grimmer picture. The new paper finds that as many as 250,000 people die each year from errors in hospitals and other healthcare facilities. That would make it the 3rd leading cause of death in the U.S., ahead of respiratory disease, accidents, and even stroke.
These are studies of hundreds of thousands of hospitalizations in the top medical journals, and they are updating the 1999 Institute of Medicine report. And there's broad consensus that the range is somewhere between 200 and 400,000. Our analysis came up with 251,000. No matter what number you pick, it's well above the currently listed number 3 cause of death.
Over the last 20 years, as many as 4.5 million, using a base of 225,000 deaths, or 8.8 million people if you use a base of 440,000 deaths, in the United States died from the medical system. The total number of dead in the United States from wars from the Revolutionary War to the present is close to 1.3 million. So the number of American deaths from the medical system in the last 20 years is 3 to more than 6 times more than all Americans that have died in all wars combined. We would have to have another 500 to 1,300 years of war to equal the number of dead killed by the medical system over the last 2 decades. So why don't we know about this devastating tragedy? Where are our supposedly best in the world health agencies like the CDC and FDA? Dr. Martin Makary explains.
The CDC does not consider medical error to be a cause of death in listing our national health statistics each year, even though the point estimate comes right in between number 2 and number 3 on the list, which means medical error is the number 3 cause of death in the United States. We're just not measuring it. It turns out that the reason it's not being counted is that the system relies on billing codes to compile our national health statistics. But people don't always die of a billing code. They can die from diagnostic errors, fragmented care, preventable complications. These are not things that are captured in national health statistics. That list of most common causes of death in the United States, that list is a big deal. It informs all of our research funding priorities as a country, all of our public health campaigns. We spend a lot of time and money on heart disease and cancer, but we haven't even really recognized that the 3rd leading burden on health in America in terms of death is medical error in its many forms.
Since medical errors are not being tracked, how can we believe that the listed cause of death is really from a heart attack, cancer, upper respiratory infection, and so on? Or was the recorded death really from a medical error? How can we trust any of these statistics we see? And what about these government agencies that are supposed to protect our health? Again, Dr. Martin Makary explains.
Our large research center in patient safety at Johns Hopkins has applied for numerous federal grants, and we keep getting the message back, this is not within the scope of the NIH. This is not within the scope of the National Cancer Institute.
So the National Institutes of Health, NIH, and the National Cancer Institute don't seem to be interested in preventing injuries and saving lives from medical error. Even the CDC, which is supposed to be monitoring all causes of death, has utterly ignored this massive problem. They have completely and absolutely failed. So if the CDC can get something so huge, so massive, and so important wrong, why should we trust them about anything? And where is the FDA emphasizing how many people are dying from medications? After all, 10 years ago, the FDA did an analysis concluding there were 2.1 million serious injuries, including 128,000 patient deaths from pharmaceuticals. So what have they done about this? It seems precious little. And where are our politicians calling attention to this? Instead, politicians often praise these failed institutions.
The FDA approval is the gold standard.
Do you agree these agencies are the best they could be? And where is the media? CNN, MSNBC, Fox? Where is the clarion call? Where is the outrage? So can you trust any of these massive institutions, government officials, heads of medical organizations? Are any of these systems really interested in your health?
If you look at the number of people that die from breast cancer, it's about a fourth or a fifth of the number of people that die from medical care gone wrong. And yet they have billions more because of the great lobbying efforts and the vocal advocacy work of that group. Well, it turns out that it's not proportional to the burden of preventable health in America.
Has the entire system been corrupted by power, ego, and huge profits? Do you think any of these institutions really care about you or your family? Are the enormous numbers of injuries and deaths stated in these studies over the last 20 years accurate? How could we be absolutely sure unless we track them through a mandatory system? But so far, nothing is being done. Meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of innocent people continue to be injured and killed without anyone noticing or really caring. Millions of families suffer and bury their dead, with the dead being laid to rest without justice, ceremony, or monuments. The hidden war continues in deafening silence.
How can we get the nation's attention on preventing medical errors? It's our third leading cause of death. Where is the outrage? How many more Annas must die? For you see, even over the death of my precious sister, the ultimate medical mistake is the deafening silence that continues to surround medical errors.
Thank you for watching. References and links are down below. If you thought this video was valuable, please like and share. If you find that you disagree with anything, please respectfully state your views. We all learn when we share and consider other people's views. Thank you and have a stellar day.